Hello and welcome to another episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is the show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am flying solo today. Lisa is not here, nor could I find another co-host to fit in with his schedule, so it's just going to be me here talking a little bit, guys. Now, lately there has been a lot of big news in the world of geekdom, but the last couple of days we did get a couple of new trailers I want to talk about. And then the main thing I want to talk about is going to be the DC CW 4-part crossover that happened last week. That's right. The 4 CW shows that are DC comic based all cross for one big huge crossover called Invasion. So we're going to talk about that as well. But first, like I said, this weekend, in the last couple of days, a couple of new trailers have come out for upcoming blockbuster films that are going to be coming out in 2017. So I'm going to run through them real quick, kind of share my thoughts about it. And then, of course, you always hit me back up on social media or the Gmail account. Let me know what you thought as well. So, diving right into it, let's just start with the latest one. Last night, Paramount released the first trailer for the 5th upcoming Transformers film, Transformers: The Last Knight. Now, this film is going to see the return of Mark Wahlberg as Cade Yeager, Josh Duhamel as Lieutenant Colonel Lennox, Tyrese Gibson as Epps, and Stanley Tucci as Joshua Joyce. They're going to be joined by Isabella Moner, I think that's how you say her name, who is going to be the film's eye candy for this one, it looks like. Now, this one's going to be a little different, I guess, where there's going to be some time travel involved. I'm not exactly sure what the hell's going on in this trailer. We saw shots of, looked like medieval times and what looked like a robot three-headed dragon, perhaps. Maybe somebody has a little bit of Game of Thrones envy, I don't know. And then we saw parts of Nazi Germany, a battle there. A lot of slow motion shots, a lot of action shots, a lot of explosions. Of course, we had the classic, oh my god, classic line. I hate that. I hate it when people say that, especially in trailers. Let's see here. The song was narrated by, or the trailer was narrated by Anthony Hopkins, who's going to be in the film. Let's see here, what else we got? We got the Linkin Park song. Yes, that's right. Every Transformers movie has had a Linkin Park song in it. So this one we got kind of a little bit of taste of what that's going to be. Now, also in this film, when Anthony Hopkins, or I think it was Anthony Hopkins, who said that Optimus Prime has left, you see a shot of him floating away, it looks like, and he, was floating away into space. But then, of course, we saw him at the end of the trailer coming back, and it looked like he was trying to kill Bumblebee. So, not sure what that's all about. Some, brainwashing, or maybe you think he's doing something for the greater good. We'll have to wait and see. And then, probably the most interesting part of the trailer, I guess you could say, is when he talked about why do the Decepticons and these other aliens keep coming back and invading Earth? What do they want with us now that Optimus Prime has somewhat left the planet? So maybe we'll see that. So that's kind of a gist of what kind of the highlights of the trailer were. The film comes out, when is it? June 23rd, 2017. Now this is the first of a Transformers cinematic universe. They're going to come out with a Bumblebee spin-off film in 2018, as well as a 6th Transformer movie in 2019. More films are in development as well. Paramount really trying to grasp onto that cinematic universe trend that's going on. So, this trailer sucked balls. There's no easy way to put it, guys. The Transformers franchise, the first film, directed by Michael Bay, was great. I think everyone can unanimously say that first live-action Transformers film was great because it was so different and new and refreshing. But then guess what? We haven't gotten anything new since. It's all stale. It's all about the humans. It's not about the robots. My personal favorite Transformers film is the 1986 version. Great film, great soundtrack, great animation. And I'm a little hesitant, especially about this film as well, not only because I thought the 4th film, Age of Extinction, was the worst of the franchise and was unwatchable, but this one sees the new adding of my favorite Autobot, Hot Rod. Hot Rod was kind of the hero or the star of the 1986 animated movie, and because of that, I have a very close attachment to that character. And the fact that he's going to be in this movie really disappoints me because I know they're going to screw him up. Another one of those characters that was in the 1986 film was RC, and they brought that character or characters into the second film, which I can't even remember what the name of that was because, again, it's not very good. But they kind of did nothing with that character too. They could do nothing with Hot Rod, I feel like. And this, I'm done with the Transformers franchise. I know the sad part is that Paramount and Hollywood are getting wise into the money-making scheme. And they know the international box office is becoming more and more important for them making their money. So they're targeting more of the international box office. They can make a good domestic toll, but to really put themselves over the edge to where the movie is a success, they need to capture the international box office, which is why you see them either go to international locations in the film or even, do things that are more appealing to the international audience, such as stylized action and all that other gibberish. This trailer really for me was just a sign that Michael Bay needs to get out of Transformers and that Paramount has no intention of changing their formula. And why would they? The last film made over $1 billion. Why would they? My only hope is that in the movie franchise business, if you make, say, a good film, people are going to go see the second one. If you make a bad second film, people might not go see the third one, and then you could be done. My hope is that most people despised Age of Extinction as much as I did to not go see The Last Night. I see nothing in this trailer that really makes me want to go see this. I'll probably rent it when it comes to Redbox, much like I did Age of Extinction, because, yeah, I'm saying all these heartstrings now, but I want to watch the film to give it a fair chance. I'm not going to spend movie money to go see the damn film, but I will go and actually spend money at Redbox. I'll pay $2 to see the movie. I'll spend that money. That's okay. But this Transformers franchise has so much potential. As a child of the 80s and growing up liking Transformers but loving that Transformers animated film, I know there's potential here. I know there is so much potential for what this franchise they are not doing. Michael Bay is just using explosions, slow motions, product placement, hot girls to, sell these films. And oh my God, if this trailer was an indication of how many slow motion shots we're going to get in this film, it's going to run at a turtle pace. I can't believe how many slow motion shots. Granted, they're action shots, so that's what Michael Bay likes to do. He loves his slow motion action shots, but the entire trailer almost was slow motion. It was just ridiculous, and I really can't say that I'm at all looking forward to this film. If anything, I'm looking forward to the hope that it does not do well so that Paramount can regroup and possibly give us something better. So I am curious to see with Michael Bay. What do I want to say? How do I want to say this? I don't want him directing the Bumblebee film, because I think what this franchise really needs is fresh blood, a new perspective. And Michael Bay on the sixth film even is just not it. I mean, he said he was going to be done after the third, and then he said he was going to be done after the fourth. And I don't think he said if he's done yet or not after this fifth one, but I imagine as soon as he hears those dump trucks of money coming into his yard that Paramount's going to give him, I'm pretty sure he's going to do another one. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad because I know this franchise. I've grown up with this franchise. I see the potential of all these characters, and the way they're using it is just a waste, in my opinion. So let's jump off of that and move into the next trailer. Universal Pictures has released their first trailer for their Mummy film, actually starring Tom Cruise. Now, the plot line of it is that, quote, thought safely entombed in a crypt deep beneath the unforgiving desert, an ancient queen whose destiny was unjustly taken from her is awakened on our current day, bringing with her malevolence grown over a millennia and terrors that defy human comprehension. The Mummy, played by Sofia Boutella, who was in Kingsman and Star Trek Beyond. As I said, this movie stars Tom Cruise, also has Jake Johnson from The New Girl and Jurassic World, and Russell Crowe. There's a new girl, what's her name? Annabella Wallace. I guess she's in the upcoming King Arthur film by Guy Ritchie, and she was also in Peaky Blinders on Netflix. The film comes out June 9th, 2017, and is directed by Alex Kurtzman. The film is said to be the first film in a Universal Monsters cinematic universe that has plans for The Wolfman, The Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, and Van Helsing, all those films in various stages of development at Universal. But this is the one that's supposed to kick off the franchise, much like Dracula Untold was actually supposed to be the first Universal film to kick it off. It did not get well received. It did not make enough money. I don't know what happened. And Universal has officially come out to say, no, that is not part of the franchise. And it makes sense, I didn't want to see it. And I love, Dracula films and vampire films and all that. And I didn't want to see it. I had no desire to see it at all, which is kind of sad. But, Warner Brothers kind of had the same speed bump with their cinematic universe as well when they're doing the DC world, because originally Green Lantern, starring Ryan Reynolds, was supposed to kick off their cinematic universe. It didn't do very well critically, so they kind of had to stop, regroup, and go forward from there. And it looks like Universal has done that now. So as far as this trailer goes, all I can say is it is a Tom Cruise movie. Honestly, that whole first plane scene, you could have easily just said, hey, this is another Mission Impossible film, because it looked like it was shot the exact same way. Tom Cruise was playing Tom Cruise. I mean, this trailer was essentially another Mission Impossible movie mixed in with Enchantress from Suicide Squad, because that's what Sofia Boutella looked like, was Enchantress. The way the shots, the bus scene, looked pretty much the same as well. All the action looked the same. It was a Tom Cruise action movie. And I know they've said that this film would be an action movie and not really a horror movie. And for some reason, let me just go ahead and just, as a side note, people tend to rip on the previous Mummy franchise, which starred Brendan Fraser. The first and second films of those franchises, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, I thought were great. I was so entertained by those films. I like them. The third one, no. I'll give you that. Those weren't good. But the first two were great. They were action movies. They were a little scary. And definitely I feel like I was more entertained by those two movies, than I will be with this one. Now, it's the first trailer, so I'm not going to try not to pass too much judgment, but come on. Look at this trailer, and then look at the last Mission Impossible movie, okay? You even have the classic running away from a big old dust cloud. Tom Cruise is running, he's got some crashing or something, some dust cloud behind him. I'm like, that's the exact same shot that was in the last Mission Impossible trailer. Come on, people. Let's do something original. I don't know. It makes me frustrated because I don't hate Tom Cruise, but it's very rare for me to see a movie that I think he stands out and doesn't play Tom Cruise, especially nowadays where his Mission Impossible Jack Reacher character are so similar. There's very rare instances where he'll step out of his Tom Cruise isms and actually act, in my opinion. Russell Crowe, I'm not sure what he is doing in this. I thought, if memory serves, Russell Crowe was in talks to play Dr. Jekyll in the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie for Universal. Maybe this is their way of kind of introducing that character as Dr. Jekyll, perhaps. I don't know. Could be. But just overall, this trailer, again, much like the Transformers trailer, it gave me the same old stuff I've seen before from these previous actors or franchises, the Transformers trailer looked like all the other Transformers trailers. This Mummy's trailer made it look like just another Tom Cruise action movie, and I don't want that. I want something different, I guess. It just, the way they cut it, you could literally take the last Transformers trailer and the last Mission Impossible movie trailer and run them side by side, and you have so many of the same things. It's mind-boggling how similar they are. So I think I'm done talking about those. So now let's move on to something I am a little more excited about. And of course, I'm sure I might get a little slack for being so hard on the Transformers and the Mummy trailer, and being excited for this next one, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer. So Marvel released another teaser trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that is coming out on May 5th, 2017. Now in this one we get a little bit more from the characters. We see a good amount of Baby Groot, who is just adorable as hell. Oh my god, I can already hear the cash registers ringing from all the little Baby Groot stuffed plush figures and tiny little action figures that they're going to get from that, let me tell you. In the trailer, we also saw Drax, we saw Gamora, we saw a lot of action from them fighting this enormous tentacle-style monster as well. And then, of course, we saw the first appearance of Mantis, the character, who, of course, can read minds and is kind of psychic, so she kind of lets the bag slip that Star-Lord still has feelings for Gamora in that respect. But as far as the actual plot of the trailer, it takes place a couple months after the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, and the Guardians are trying to unravel the mystery of Peter Quill's true father. And just for a spoiler, just to let you know, it's going to be Ego, the Living Planet, who is being played by Kurt Russell. Now, Marvel obtained the rights for the character by doing a little bit of a swap with Fox. Fox wanted to use the character Negasonic Teenage Warhead for their Deadpool movie, but Marvel still had the rights for that, so they had got to swap, and so they swapped that for Ego, the Living Planet. There you go. So there's that. Like I said, film comes out May 5th, 2017. Stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Vin Diesel as Groot, Michael Rooker, Karen Gillan, Kurt Russell, and of course Glenn Close. Guys, I could not be more thrilled with this trailer. It was, like I said, I think the most of it was Baby Groot, but it was everything that we loved about that first Guardians movie as far as the characters and the way they interacted with each other, and it was just a whole big bag of fun, but it was different. It didn't seem like they were doing the same jokes. They were taking the characters to another level, and it felt fun and familiar, but different, at least in my opinion. Just awesome. Now, for those of you who like Guardians and want to know a little more about them, I will say that I looked on Kindle or Amazon this morning, and the Guardians of the Galaxy graphic novels are actually on sale. So I've already got the last run, the reboot run, kind of that they did with Brian Michael Bendis, but I didn't have all the rest of the 2008 ones, so I went ahead and picked those up as well. So if you like the Guardians movie, I recommend starting with that first one by Brian Michael Bendis. I think it's called Cosmic Avengers. It guest stars Iron Man. That's a good place to start, and then you can go from there. The 2008 one, I love because it's very, very quirky, but it might not be some people's cup of tea. But I went and picked it up just because I didn't have them, and they were a good deal. So if you want to learn more about Guardians of the Galaxy, hop on to Kindle and pick those up, because those are a pretty good read. My big question about this movie is going to be in regards to Kurt Russell. Now, Kurt Russell, big fan of Snake Plissken, Jack Burton. Gosh, Kurt Russell's awesome, in my book. He's totally awesome. So, to him play Ego, the Living Planet, curious how that's going to go, but it is Guardians of the Galaxy. It's James Gunn directing again. He's going to go farther out there with the weirdness and just give us, a little thing we're not quite sure we want. Last time he pulled off a talking raccoon and a living tree, and it was awesome. So to give us a living planet now, as well as a few other things I'm totally excited for. I'm excited to see what they do with Mantis. I mean, how much she's going to be in the movie, because she was pretty dominant in the 2008 run, and she's had a small cameo in the current Bendis run, but not a big role, because I know they're focusing more on the characters that were in the films. Now, speaking of which, if you do pick up the books, just to let you know, they are a little different as far as especially Gamora and Drax. Now, in the books, Gamora is more of a, I don't want to say heartless assassin, but she's a little more rough. I mean, in the first film, she was, a killer, but she was, a good person who was trying to get out of the thumb of Thanos and Ronan. She was good. She wasn't as lethal, or I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here, but she was more of a trained assassin type. And with Drax, the way they portrayed him in the movie was to fit Dave Bautista's acting abilities or acting range, which I thought was great. In the comics, he's not quite as daft as he is in the films. He's a little more intelligent, much more serious character, but you have to play to Dave Bautista's strengths. And Dave Bautista himself even says he's not the best actor in the world, so James Gunn took and molded that character around what he knew Bautista could do and made him entertainable. So I will give him much props for that, definitely. But after seeing this trailer, super excited for Guardians Volume 2. This obviously cannot come quick enough. Especially, if I'm going between these three trailers, obviously the one I'm most excited about is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Between Transformers and Mummy, man, I can tell you what my number 2 is, because I really didn't like either of them at all. So between the two, gosh, if I have to pick one, I'm going to go with The Mummy as my number 2 out of the 3 trailers, because I know what I'm going to get with Transformers. I've seen 4 films now. I know what I'm getting. I know I'm probably not going to like it. At least with The Mummy, it's something new. It's the start of a new franchise, so I'll give it a little bit more benefit of the doubt than Transformers. So there you have it, guys. There's a couple of trailers for you to go check out. Hit me back up on social media and a Gmail account. Let me know what you thought of them, and let me know if you think I'm treating the Transformers and Mummies trailers unfairly. I mean, I can be a little harsh sometimes. I try to be optimistic and maybe a little biased as well, but I thought those trailers just sucked. But let me know what you thought, okay, guys? So without further ado, we're moving on to the main event, the main thing I want to talk about this week, which is the CW DC shows crossover Invasion. So last week, the CW took all their DC comic properties, I guess, except for iZombie. Is iZombie still on? I don't think it is it? No. They took all of them, and that spun out of Arrow, and they had one big 4-part crossover. So just to give you a little history here, 5 years ago, we started off with Arrow, and then spun off into Flash, and then those 2 shows spun off together into DC's Legend of Tomorrow. And then we also got Supergirl, which is kind of its own amalgam, where it was by the same creator, what's his name? Mark Guggenheim? I don't know. Oh, Greg Berlanti, that's what it is. Yes, Greg Berlanti, kind of the producer, mastermind, all these shows. And Supergirl didn't take place in the same universe as all the other characters. It wasn't even on the same network. It was on the CW. After one season on CBS, it was on CBS, it was going to get canceled, and CW decided to pick it up and add it to its DC roster. Now, in season 1, there was a guest appearance by The Flash on Supergirl, where he was testing his speed, and he accidentally ran into another reality, which was the reality that Supergirl was in. So those characters met. So then now we get to Invasion. It was supposed to be a 4-episode crossover, okay? You start off with Supergirl on Monday, Flash on Tuesday, Arrow on Wednesday, and then finish off with DC Legends of Tomorrow on Thursday. To call it a 4-part crossover is ridiculous, because even if you look at the episode titles of all 4 episodes, Legends Tomorrow, Flash, and Arrow, their episodes were named Invasion. Supergirl's episode was named Medusa. Why? Because the only part that took place that was the very end was when Barry and Cisco had to jump over the reality, and Kara saw they were there and saying that they needed help. That exact same scene was in The Flash the next night. So honestly, I can't call the Supergirl episode part of the 4-part crossover. It did take characters of 4 shows and cross them over, but it's not a 4-part. I'm going to call it a 3-part, which is why I'm really not going to talk at all about the Supergirl episode, because I don't think it really counts as part of the crossover. Now, my overall thoughts on the crossover itself, I enjoyed it. This is kind of the 3rd crossover that they've done. The first one was in The Flash Season 1, when there were 2 separate episodes. One of them was an episode of Flash, and one was an episode of Arrow, but they were 2 different storylines. They didn't link, really, is what it was. And then last year, they did one where they actually crossed over the 2-part, and it was the same storyline having to do with Vandal Savage and Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I'm not a fan of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, to be honest. Even, I can never get into the comics. I didn't like them in DC's Legends Tomorrow. I'm glad they're kind of gone. So in that regards, I really didn't enjoy last year's episode that much. This year, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really liked the Flash and Arrow episode, which I'll get into more detail here. My only problem was that I felt like Legends of Tomorrow kind of fell a little flat in regards to the others. And that's to be expected, because out of all the shows, out of all 4 shows, Legends of Tomorrow is my least favorite out of all of them. So, you know, it's safe to say, of course, that it did kind of fall a little flat for me, and I felt like it tried to wrap things up a little too quickly or conveniently. Some of the things that happened on the episode that I thought were a little odd was, well, first off, this started off with Arrow, but Felicity and Cisco kind of hack alien technology. That's, I don't know, that seemed a little weird to me. But also they were able to fix the alien ship in 1951 so quickly. Let's see here. Cisco thinks that he could, he messed up the timeline, so it makes him forgive Barry for what he did, which, again, I'll get into more. Barry changes his mind within like 2 seconds of turning himself over to the aliens. Oliver changes his mind about Supergirl within like a matter of 5 minutes. Just the things that just kind of wrapped up a little too conveniently for me, and I felt like they rushed it a little bit. I thought they had a great start in the Flash episode, and the Arrow episode, I know, focused a lot on Oliver and the characters in Arrow, to where I felt like the other characters, such as the ones in Legends and Flash, didn't have enough time to build their arcs as well. Now, speaking of actual character arcs, these are characters in the crossover that I thought actually learned and grew. We're going to get Barry, Oliver, Cisco, and Professor Stein. Now, Barry in Flash, he had to deal with the ramifications of Flashpoint, where he went back, changed the time stream, and then came back, and it wasn't the same. And, he's kind of beating himself up about that, still is, but he had to learn, thanks with a pep talk from Oliver, that there's nothing he can do about it, to move on. Life is about change. We all screw up. We all have to get along and just roll with it. Cisco, of course, being mad at Barry for changing the time stream and pretty much killing his brother, allegedly. He goes back in time to 1951 to save the alien that was captured by the government. And because of this, that alien goes out back to the Dominators and later comes back with them a little more prepared as far as what they're fighting. So Cisco blames himself for them returning. So he kind of forgives Barry about changing the timeline, because he felt like he changed the timeline as well. So he kind of understands Barry's point of view. That I didn't mind. I didn't mind that as much. Professor Stein, that was the interesting one for me because the Legend of Tomorrow characters, they travel the time stream trying to protect time itself. So when Barry created Flashpoint, they were kind of out of the time stream, okay? They weren't affected by it. So when they actually stopped and jumped into the time stream, the Flashpoint time stream, I guess you could say, is much like Barry's memories were being altered, or everyone else's memories were altered. Professor Stein got his memories altered to where he had a daughter that he never had beforehand as well. So he had to come to grips with that. And at first he wanted to go back and change it because he thought that she was an amalgam or, not supposed to be there. But then she realized that, he has a daughter, and after getting to know her, he doesn't want to change her. So he and the other part of Firestorm, what's his name? I can't remember. Jackson, maybe? Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't care about him, so I can't remember his name. They keep another secret between the two of them about his daughter not actually supposed to be there, because he's afraid that if he tells the rest of the team, they'll make him go back and change the time stream, perhaps, and so his daughter's not there. So I know that'll probably come up again, just like the secret about future Barry's message that they found in the secret room of the Wave Rider. That's going to be another secret they keep, probably come to head a little later on as well. And then finally we have Oliver. Now, this episode of Arrow Invasion was the 100th episode of Arrow. And almost with every show, the 100th episode is a good time to reflect. You go back, you take a look at kind of, where you've been, what journey the characters have taken, and maybe do a little something different. So in this one, the Arrow characters, Oliver, Diggle, Thea, and Sarah, were all taken up by the Dominators and put in a comatose state and given a dreamland, kind of a perfect world where what if Oliver and his dad did not crash their boat, if Oliver had spent 5 years on the island, never became Green Arrow, etc., how their lives would change. And we saw the reappearance of Katie Cassidy as Laurel, and Oliver and Laurel were getting married. So, but in the end of it, he just, he had to learn to let go, as well as the other characters that, there are people out there that depend on him to be heroes, people that depend on Oliver to be the Green Arrow, and he can't let them down no matter how much he wants to stay in his perfect world. Now, it's said by producers and showrunners that Oliver is going to learn from this experience and move on. I have a couple ideas as far as how he's going to move on, but I'll get to that in a minute. Now, one of my main questions that I kind of want to ask you guys to see how you felt about is the use of Supergirl in this whole crossover. Because, like I said, the actual Supergirl episode wasn't really part of Invasion. It wasn't part of the overall storyline. There were no Dominators in it, no other characters. So that kind of fell flat for the character for me. And then they brought her over, and she was just kind of there as a helping hand, kind of the overall, hero that was just there conveniently, just kind of put her in and, help them train, so to speak, to stop the Dominators. She didn't have a character arc, I guess what I'm trying to get at. Oliver and Barry, hands down, we know those are the two focuses of this Arrowverse television universe. That's very relative, of course, by the very last scene of the whole crossover, which is the two of them sitting there talking, having a beer. And we realize, they're kind of like the Captain America and Iron Man of this universe. It's really the focus between these two characters. Third character, I feel like should be the highlight of the cinematic universe, should be Supergirl. And the fact that they really didn't give her an arc, really, disappointed me in that respect. Especially because they kind of shoehorned that whole issue Oliver has with her in the very last part of the crossover. I don't know what they could have done with her, but I felt like she could have been more than just another superhero with powers. I feel like they tried to give everybody a little something as well. They gave Firestorm a little something. They gave even, Sarah and Ray a little something because they were part of the vision or comatose vision or whatever you want to call it. But Supergirl was just, kind of there just as, to use her superpowers. And I felt they could have done more with her. But you let me know, guys. The 100th episode of Arrow, we see the return of Katie Cassidy as Laurel. And may I say, the first time we see her back in a towel. And I gotta say, I missed her. When the character first started in Arrow, season 1, she was a love interest for Oliver. And after that, they really had nothing else to do with her except make her Black Canary in a very fumbled way. But then when she became Black Canary, I started to like the character. I didn't hate her as much. I mean, I still thought they didn't give her a lot to do, but I thought she was better. And I really was kind of disappointed about how they killed the character. Now, it's my hope that they find a way to bring Laurel back. I know there's no Lazarus Pit anymore, and, Barry's already done Flashpoint, so I don't think time travel will really do it. But I think it'd be cool if they found a way to bring the character back. I think they will, because I think she's still supposed to guest star in a couple more episodes. Possibly, I think she'll be playing her alter ego or her Earth 2 ego. What is it? It's not Black Canary. What is it? Siren or something like that? What is the name of the character? Anyway, her alter ego from Earth 2 is locked up still in Star Labs. So I'm sure we're probably going to see her, but I'd like the actual Laurel to come back. But that scene between her and Laurel, it was so genuine. And his feelings towards her, it makes me get the sense that Oliver is still in love with Laurel and he misses her. And possibly if Laurel comes back, I think they're going to get back together. In the comics, they took those two apart after the New 52. And now with Rebirth, they've kind of brought those two characters back together. I want to see it happen. Again, with Laurel, she was a season one love interest for Oliver. Season 2 love interest for him, you got Sarah. And then it kind of hinted towards Felicity. And season 3, season 4, I'll say this again, I've said it many times, the Olicity love story was one of the downfalls of season 3 and season 4 of Arrow. And the fact that season 5 has kind of abandoned that storyline is part of the reason I think it's coming back on the up, why it's on the uphill slope again. So there's that. But yeah, this episode, if anything, it made me want to bring Laurel back. Am I crazy here? Am I the only one who wants to see Laurel back after seeing this episode? Please let me know, because that scene between her and Oliver, how her and Oliver acted with each other, I loved it. And I don't want to see her come back as Black Canary, but I want to see her come back as Laurel Lance, District Attorney on the Arrow team, possible Oliver's love interest. Okay, let's see here. What else I got here? Felicity and Cisco, time traveling and saving the day. Yeah, whatever. The government guys. So we let it slip out that the government knows that Barry is the Flash. And that they know, do they know that Oliver is Green Arrow? Because Amanda Waller knew, and she's part of the government. She's part of Argus. So maybe she knows. Maybe they know what's going on with all the heroes. They know who everyone is, and they're just letting it slide because they're doing good. Now, they can't let it slide, though, when they let it go that Barry broke the timeline, and he is the reason the Dominators came back. They came back because they realized how powerful these metahumans are and what possible destruction they could cause on the galaxy. Barry already did it when he changed the timeline. If he changed stuff on Earth, that's going to affect everything, not only on Earth, but probably the whole universe. So the Dominators have come to kind of take Barry and stop him in that regards. And of course, we have that scene at the end where Barry's about to sacrifice himself, but everyone's like, no, you're not. And Barry makes that quick decision to be like, okay, I guess I won't. Again, that's something that shouldn't have happened in a span of 2 minutes. That should have lasted a little longer. Okay, I know it was the last episode. You were trying to wrap it all up, but it was a little too convenient, really. Overall, yeah, like I said, skipping through, not too many highlights. Diggle forgives Barry, and of course then Oliver and Barry are at the end of the bar, at the end of the crossover, talking about their battles they've done and kind of hinting that Barry actually won both fights between the two of them, where, you know, speed overtook experience. So in regards, but also kind of solidifying at the end here that this Arrowverse is centered around Barry and Oliver. They are the main characters in it, and will probably continue to be the main characters as well. So that's it, guys. Overall, yeah, I liked it. I loved Flash and the Arrow episodes. Legends of Tomorrow left a little bit to be desired. If I were to give this a rating, I don't do 1 through 10. I usually do, you know, A, B, or C. And I would give this probably about a B- in regards to my enjoyment of it. Like I said, Flash and Arrow were great episodes. Legends of Tomorrow, just like the show itself, I wanted to like it, but it just didn't live up to expectations. I would recommend it, though. I mean, checking it out. I went back and I rewatched all the episodes back to back, and it was okay. You know, like I said, just Legends. It's got that cheese factor that you come to know from all the shows, so you're just gonna have to live with that in that regards. But I am so sorry. I know I rambled off a little bit. I probably talked about some things in regards to the Invasion crossover I shouldn't have, and I'm overall just, you know, sorry that I took up all this time. But hopefully I hit a few things that maybe you didn't think about and maybe want to talk about some more. That's where you come back at me on social media, on the Facebook group, or Twitter as well. You can also hit me up, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. The main question I really want to ask you in regards to Invasion is, did you like it? What were some of your highlights? And Laurel, let me know. Do you think Laurel should come back? Is that something you want to see? Let me know, because after seeing that Arrow episode, I really want Laurel to come back. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one here. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Anything else? No? All right, guys. So until next week, may the Force be with us all.